How do you choose the right color schemes for your paintings? How do you even go about planning this? A lot of my students ask me about color theory, so I made this demo with 4 simple color schemes you can try on any painting. I'll admit this technique is much easier done digitally, but there's no better way to study color and how to mix them than with traditional painting. I'm using acrylic paints for this color study, but you can use any medium like watercolor, gouache, or oils. First of all, I divide a canvas board into 4 equal portions for the studies using masking tape. This will leave a nice white border at the very end, and I wrote the type of color scheme below each section as a visual reminder. I want to be able to compare them at the end before deciding on the final color scheme to make into a larger painting. Here we study 4 different color schemes: analogous, triadic, complementary, and split-complementary. Try to explore colors that are out of your comfort zone and avoid defaulting to what you already know. For example, painting trees green and water blue. Later on, you'll see me paint a green sky and red water, but discover a really beautiful color combination I didn't expect. The reference picture is one I took of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, where ancient temple ruins are reflected in a pond full of lily pads. I didn't want to be influenced by the actual colors in the photo, so I converted it to a grayscale image to focus exclusively on values. By the end of the video, you'll see why values are the crucial element that will hold everything together, no matter how crazy the color combination is. The first color scheme I'll be painting is an analogous color scheme. Analogous colors are next to each other on the color wheel, so they almost always turn out nicely because they're naturally related, with similar hues in them. So to start, you can choose any color, then select 3 to 5 different hues surrounding it on the color wheel. For this color sketch, I chose a blue, specifically an Ultramarine Blue, which appears slightly warmer and slightly purple, and a Phthalo Blue, which appears cooler and slightly green. It's a pretty safe color combination, and I'm a lot more adventurous in nature, so I'm going to try some bolder colors in the next one. The second color scheme I'll be painting is a triadic color scheme. To find a triadic color scheme, make an equilateral triangle on the color wheel. This can be 3 primaries, 3 secondaries, or 3 tertiary colors. The most common triadic color scheme that you'll see is red, yellow, and blue, or the primary colors, which is typically used for children's toys and children's art. Triadic colors can look very childish if all the hues are fully saturated, so it can be quite challenging to use. The trick for successfully using triadic palettes is to not use all the colors at full saturation. In other words, making some of your colors bright and others dull will be more balanced than using all your colors straight out of the tube. If you're not sure what saturation means, I'll link to another video where I talk about color saturation in more detail. Here, I chose a purple, orange, green color scheme, or the secondary colors, which is used a lot in fantasy art. I chose to make the green very, very dark, and it's hard to see in the video, but it's a deep dark green with some lighter variations throughout the architecture. This combination is definitely more interesting than the first, but I'm still not sure I love it. By the way, the footage in this video was made from a live class recording in my drawing and painting mentorship class. You can join an online class with professional artists at Wing Canvas in literally seconds and start learning from home. The third color scheme I studied is a complementary color scheme. Classic complementary color combinations are usually made up of 1 primary and 1 secondary color, like red and green, yellow and purple, or blue and orange. Complementary color schemes provide the most color contrast with opposite colors, whereas the analogous color schemes provide very little color contrast. The easiest and most aesthetically pleasing combination of complementary colors is blue and orange, and once you recognize them, you'll start seeing it everywhere. It's very commonly used in video game art. Here I opted for a slightly different complementary combination using 2 tertiary colors, red-orange and blue-green, or teal. To keep things simple, I used the red-orange for the sky and water, and teal for the structures and their reflections. Here's a tip on brushwork. I always recommend that you use the largest brush that you're comfortable using. This is because using large brushes forces you to use that brush in different creative ways for a wide variety of strokes. Remember Bob Ross and his huge brushes that he uses to paint those delicate looking landscapes? For these color studies, I'm using a flat 1/2 inch synthetic brush and a 1/4 inch flat brush for the smaller details. I prefer flat brushes for the landscape painting because they can provide wide strokes as well as very fine lines. For these sketches, you really don't need more than a couple of brushes.
If you'd like to support Winged Canvas, become a member on YouTube or Patreon. You'll get access to our private art community and cool perks like classes and critiques. With your help, we can continue making art education easily accessible to everyone.
The fourth color scheme is a split-complementary color scheme. It's basically a combination of a complementary and analogous color palette. I started by choosing a complementary color scheme, so in this case, a red and green. Then I chose one of those colors to expand on so I can have a larger range of hues to work with. In this case, I chose the red, extending the range of hues to red purple or magenta and red orange. After blocking in the sky with a light green, I added different types of reds to the clouds, temple, and reflections in the water. These colors are admittedly quite unnatural looking, so it's something I would normally never consider for a landscape, like who paints their water red? After completing the study, I thought it made a really interesting composition that surprisingly holds together well because of their values. For all these color studies, my main goal was getting the values of the colors right. Because even though color is important, it's the values or the lights and darks that make the overall painting believable and realistic. Out of all these studies, I find I like the complementary and split complementary ones best because they're outside of my comfort zone and a lot more aesthetically interesting. Which color study do you like the best? Let me know in the comments. If you're struggling with choosing colors for your paintings, give these simple color schemes a try. I would recommend working small to keep the studies manageable and converting your reference picture to black and white so you can remember to focus on your values. Studying color can be a lot of fun and a great eye-opener for all the different color combinations you can use to bring your artwork to the next level.
Join a virtual class to learn live from our professional artists. Get creative assignments, individual guidance, and real-time feedback on your artwork. Start today and level up your practice. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Share it with a fellow art nerd, and if you love receiving quality and free arts education, subscribe. Here are some other videos you can check out next.